We're going to be going over our Chapter 7 test review for our test at the end of the week. Not going to be a hard test at all. If you're working, this isn't very difficult material. The issue is are you trying? So if you're trying, you're going to do fantastic, nothing to worry about. If you're not trying, it's going to suck. So make sure you're doing your best. And if you have a neighbor that's not trying, make sure they know that this isn't going to be a hard thing. They just need to make an effort. That being said, we're going to go through the standard here. This standard is kind of all-encompassing. This is a huge standard in Algebra 2, something that everyone must know how to do, is graphing, all the graphs that we're doing. So here is our first exponential graph. Notice it has the exponent is our variable. So when the exponent is a variable, it's exponential growth or decay, and our asymptote is found on the end, and it goes left and right. And that's our step one. So step one is the asymptote, and that's the same step for your logarithm graph that we're going to do at the end here. We have a logarithm graph, number 3 here. So we're going to do the asymptote first, right here, and it's plus 2, so it's going to go up to 1, 2. We're going to have this dashed line, so I'm going to redraw this real quick. 1, 2, and then we have a dashed line right here. Okay. Next, we're going to do a table of values. So that's step 2 is a table of values. And that's the same thing on all these graphs. We have an XY table, and then this number we're going to switch. So it's going to be -1. And then I like to do one above it and one below it. So that's a little different with logarithms. And then we're going to put these in and solve them out. So if I was using the calculator, I'd do 3 to the power of 0 plus 1 plus 2, and it'll give me 5. Put a -1 in, and it'll give me 3. And then I put a -2 in, and it'll give me 2 1/3. Okay? So after that, we plot our points, and then we draw our graph and do our domain range. So 0, 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, 3, and negative right there, and then our graph is going to look like this, kind of tiny, sorry. There it is. That's our shape of our growth function right there, and then domain is all real numbers. Range, it goes down until 2, and then infinity. And that's what I'm looking for. Also make sure to label any x and y intercepts. Number 2, same steps, asymptotes on the end here. That's the asymptote there. So when I start graphing this, our asymptote is at -1 here. That's the asymptote right there. Then we do a table of values where we take this and we make it the opposite. And then we're going to do one above it and one below it. So I usually like to write it a little differently, like that. We're going to put these points in, again, in the calculator, 1 divide 4, power button, put a 2 in, -3, -1. When I put this in the calculator, it's going to give me 3. When I put a 3 in the calculator, it's going to give me -3/4. When I put a 4 in the calculator, when I put a 3 in, it's going to give me 0. Sorry, I apologize. I'm just a little ahead of myself. When I put 4 in, it's going to give me -3/4. I apologize. My brain works a little fast. Again, I'm just putting these points in here. So how I got this 3, 0, is I just put a 3 in and my calculator or my brain, and I hit enter, and then same thing for 4. So we have 2, 3, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We have 3, 0, and then 4, -3/4. So it's about right there. And then we're going to draw our graph. Notice it's a decay function, so it flips over, was less than 1, and then domain and range is no different than before. So domain is all real numbers. Range, it stops at the asymptote, so -1 to infinity. Sweet. This is a logarithm, so very similar shape, except the asymptote is inside now. It's opposite, okay? It's opposite. And the asymptote for logarithms are going to go up and down. So it's exact difference. So notice it's different. So when I graph this at -1, We're going to have an asymptote that goes up and down to the left and right. Then our xy table of values is not just this number opposite, but plus 1, so it'd be 0, and then one other number. So I'm going to pick, 2? Pick 2, and then put these points in the calculator and good to go here. So log base 3 of 0 plus 1 minus 2, and then these two guys we're going to put together right there. So we have log base 3 of 1 minus 2. Put that in the calculator. So again, it is kind of reverse here. A lot of students are getting it backwards, so make sure when you put in the calculator it is backwards. We're going to enter and get negative 2. And then we're going to put a 2 in, so where this 0 is, the 2 is going to go, which makes this a 3, which makes this a 3. Hit enter the calculator and get negative 1. So we have 0, negative 2, and then 2, negative 1, and then our shape looks like this. Our domain range is a little backwards, so domain is all the way to the asymptote, to infinity, and range is all real numbers, so because it goes up and down forever. So that's the graphing standard for our test that's coming up. Hopefully you studied it, and those are the answers to our review stations. Have a good day.